Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Hospitality Podcast hosted by HelloSuite. HelloSuite, as you know, is an end-to-end digital concierge that is transforming guest experience and helping hotels across the world go contactless during such challenging times. On today's episode, we have Ambika Nair, who has 20 years of diverse experience in guest relations management, front office, reservations, tourism and hospitality related education. She has leveraged and shared her experience across a wide cross section of students over the last 10 years now. She has also worked across organizations like Taj, ITC Fortune, Viceroy, Intercontinental The Grand, as well as Atharva College of Hotel Management, Don Bosco College, SGT University, just to name a few. She is also currently pursuing her Ph.D. in hospitality management. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hi. It's so nice to be here.
I think the one question I just want to start off with is what,
Yes,
in your opinion, is the single biggest challenge for the hospitality industry today? This is something that we want to understand, right up from your end.
absolutely. That's something which has been playing on everybody's mind, right? So I feel that COVID-19 is perhaps the greatest challenging crisis since maybe World War II, 9/11, the recession of 2008, etc. But in these unprecedented times, the hardest hit industry is hospitality and tourism. So international chain or independent hotel brands, everybody has to experience, these really bad weather conditions. The economic slowdown and low expenditure power leading to unemployment, which is rampant all around, these are some key challenges, but they will be short term. I think the biggest beast at this time is to formulate ways to tackle new consumer behaviors, consumer patterns, perceptions, expectations, and trends, and these are things that we haven't ever experienced so far. So this, I believe, is the greatest challenge for the industry right now, and hopefully this too shall pass.
Yeah. Since you're also, very experienced when it comes to tourism, my question would be,
Yes.
how, not only, what is the impact of, in specific international flights on the tourism industry, but also, how is the situation different for, say, a hotel based in India or a hotel based abroad?
Well, I think everybody across the globe is facing the same set of challenges. So the situation, I don't think, is any different in any other country, not just India. But the distinguishing factor here is how it is tackled. For example, many countries have already announced various packages for the hospitality sector. Okay, and I mean, everybody recognizes the importance that hospitality and tourism has for its economies. For example, Singapore has waived off the license fee for hotels for the rest of the year. Canada has offered liquidity program options for hotels with deferred income tax payments for the next 6 months. And I believe India's hospitality sector needs some urgent intervention from policymakers, government, and regulators at multiple levels, right from the creme de la creme of the society, right down to maybe the unorganized sector also. In fact, they are the ones who are hardest hit during these times.
Mhm. So I think it's an interesting point you mentioned about the necessary government intervention we need and what
Yes,
stimulus is being provided abroad. But in India,
correct.
do you think there's something more that you wish to see from the government's end or from hotelier associations, or what else can be done in India?
So I don't think the government response to these challenges. I don't think it's been adequate. I don't think the government has done enough. It's high time the government steps in full fledged, and the government should bring with it a really sturdy financial package to stabilize and support the sector immediately, including a workforce support fund to ensure that there are no job losses. That is the biggest problem. It should waive off maybe to begin with about 6 to 12 months of all loans, principal as well as interest, including working capital payments and overdraft. This will help the hotel owners retain their staff, and thereby, this won't break the morale of the employees, and also stop our industry from getting into what is known as a sick industry. Otherwise, times will be very, very tough for everybody.
Right. Thank you so much for shedding light on these specific challenges. I think taking a
Yes.
step back towards tourism, we have spoken from the government's end, but from the hoteliers' end, what
Yeah.
do you think the hoteliers' response to be response should be with respect to opening up? Because with people's reluctance to travel outside their states, do you think local and regional tourism should be promoted? What can the hotels do to start picking back business and start gaining trust once again?
So that is really a very, very, very difficult situation. So if you ask me, the people's reluctance to travel and all of that during such times, um, we some part of our sector is hit really badly. For example, the MICE travel, business travel, is almost come to a halt. India is known the world over for destination wedding bookings. They are hardly there. So I think it's time to give the domestic travelers their due. It's high time, and tourism should start looking inwards. There is a significant tourism opportunity, in some states which are lesser known, or rather cities and towns which are not known. So I think it's time we start exploring those sections as well, and start looking at the history, and try and create interesting stories which are not known. You know. The folklore, the legends that are there, and this needs to be marketed in a big way. Also, what we can do is design family packages, for maybe the same city. For example, the Aero City hotels can do packages for families that include, flight food which is served in the rooms for the family.
Mhm.
Uh, very So this is something which we've stopped paying attention to. Domestic
Okay.
tourism, we always going for the moolah, the people who are able to pay more and spend more. So I think it's time we should start looking at the domestic sector, and that is what should be given maximum
Mhm.
impetus, and that is going to boost the industry. If not at the same pace, but definitely it'll sustain us for some time. And when this entire thing goes away, I think we are a very resilient industry. We will bounce back. But to
Right.
begin with, I think looking at domestic tourism can be our safest bet.
Right. So you are really calling for a paradigm shift in the way we approach tourism itself, and
100%.
another shift that probably I can think of is the adaptation of digitization. So earlier we
True.
hadn't seen a lot of hotels adopt digital ways to say give their services and interact with their guests, but now it's becoming a little bit of a need of the hour. So how do you see this change taking place? This transition to digitization? Are hotels already catching on? Will it take some more time?
100%. In fact, if you don't do this, you will soon be out of the out of the race. And digitization is required not only from the hotel's perspective. Digitization is something which is required right from the moment anybody even starts looking for a place to stay, or has a little idea in mind to go for a vacation or plan a business tour. And it this digitization is something that, from the tour operators to travel agents to OTAs, is something which is very, very necessary. All right, this so everybody is going for it now. Who will win is exactly somebody who will be able to amalgamate the sensibilities and understanding of how consumers look at things, how consumers what is the thought process? What are they looking at right now? Are they looking for value for money? Are they looking for safety? So these are some of the things which will be on high priority, right? Are they looking for ways to travel which are safest? So for example, flights and railways, for sometimes people have a lot of apprehension. So road travel, for example, will be a big thing. So travel agents, tour operators, it begins from there, and understanding of what they require. And then uh, using this information, the hospitality sector can design products that will really entice people to come and stay.
Mhm.
That promise, that trust that, come and stay with us, we are safe, and we're not ripping you off all your money, we're not digging a hole in your pocket, you will get what you so deserve. uh, I think that very that very trust, that very faith is something that will be very, very imperative. So digitization, absolutely, but you cannot waive off the importance of understanding consumer behavior
Great.
any point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Speaking about pricing and consumer behavior, another follow-up I would have is, what do you
Yes.
think will be the impact of this entire crisis on hotel pricing? And I'm sure that none of us can predict accurately, but do you think the pricing will go up to make up for the losses, or do you think hotel pricing will stay the same, or do you think it could also come down to lure guests from coming in and staying at the hotels? What is your estimation?
Okay, so that's a very, very tough question to answer at this
I
time,
can
but
imagine.
let me try. Okay, I feel the independent hotels and sometimes even international chains have discounted special rates in order to push demand after every crisis. This is what has been happening for the longest time. But right now, it might not be the best solution to tackle COVID-19 led slowdown. So before you arrive at any strategy, the hotels should speak to their key accounts, right? Should look at their, the sectors that they cater to, the regions, the entire demography that were generating demand in the past. All right. So an understanding of that is very, very important. And then, as I said, the wholesalers, the travel agency, the tour operators can give you, a heads up on trends in advance around bookings that can help you understand the shift that has taken place. Okay.
Mhm.
So anyone who's greedy will definitely burn itself. Then let me say this. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to tread very, very cautiously. One we should never forget, especially at these times, that people pay for quality. All right. And right now, I can only be reminded of Rai Bahadur MS Oberoi, who once said, when asked for reasons of his success, that the idea was never merely to make money. The compulsion, sorry, was to think big and always to offer the best and let it happen. And I think this particular saying is more true, more than ever during
Right.
these times. So if even if you're lowering your pricing to get the customers back in, it better have substantial reason for
Mhm.
it. And if you are staying at the same staying at the same pricing, you should be able to justify it, right? Give them the value for money, and
Right.
people will come back. Yeah, to sum it up, I'm not for me, I cannot predict, or rather, I don't think reducing the prices at rock bottom rate is a good strategy to have, because
Okay.
that once you do that, I think a little bit of trust factor is also something that you lose in the bargain.
True. Speaking on financial efficiency, another last question I would like to hit
Yeah.
at. Um, in the past, we have seen reluctance at times of hoteliers to adopt to digital methods because there is some fear that this might reduce the number of personnel you need and sort of result in job cuts. But now we are
True.
seeing that because cash flows are drying up and job cuts are inevitable, Is this a way for
Yes.
hoteliers to justify adopting digital methods? So how do you as a hotelier, how do you really consider this trade-off of becoming more financial efficient, adopting digital methods versus the risk of having to cut down a few jobs?
Well, unemployment is definitely rampant, right? If I were to think like a hotelier, I will keep a mix of both, frankly.
Mhm.
So while I will definitely need digitization, need in case I should be able to keep myself, ahead on the curve. But I will always need that human touch to keep a guest comfortable in my hotel. All right. So please remember, 70% of the total employees almost have been laid off. If not laid off officially, they are sitting at home without salaries. So it's a big deal. Also, um, no chat box or check-in kiosk can replace the warmth of a smartly dressed front office agent who welcomes you with a warm smile as you enter the hotel. So I think it has to be a sufficient an appropriate mix of both. So you can have your digitization 100%, but do you need employees as well? I think 200%. You can't function without that. The machines are to help us. Machines should not ever take over what a human being can do.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that is some really interesting perspective. Thank you so much for that. I think over the last few minutes, you've given us a lot of learnings and a lot of things to look out for, especially for someone in the industry. So, if you had to conclude and
Right.
just summarize, what do you think would be the one greatest takeaway for the industry from this entire crisis, and what do you think would be that one biggest advice that you would give to hotels in the times that we are in right now?
So I think since I am in academics and I'm very, very, what should I say, stickler for education. I speak to people who are urchins running around the road also, and I try and see if there is an opportunity for them to get educated. So I think the future lies in the hands of, you know, posterity and young blood. So for me, to sum it up, I think it's very important that the people who run the industry tomorrow are not just, they no longer work on the basis of only the skill set um, that they have been given by virtue of education or by virtue of experience so far. I think besides the knowledge base, other mandatory things such as cleanliness and hygiene standards, these are things that one must be up to speed with. And one also needs to run businesses as per newer consumer sensibilities and preferences. And, the graduates who pass out in hospitality need to be taught to be versatile. And, this versatility is something which will keep them, hold high positions, not only in hospitality, in banks and aviation, real estate, IT, fashion, and any field that requires human touch. And therefore, it is critical
Mhm.
for us academicians to inculcate life skills and mindsets of our students that reflect and find solutions through thinking out of the box. So I think, in one word, I would just say um, thinking out of the box and versatility is something that is absolutely imperative for anybody who thinks of joining hospitality industry and is going to carry the baton
Right.
forward for the future.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your invaluable knowledge with us. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Absolutely my pleasure. You have a good day too. Thank you. Bye bye.